Hello, and today at Uncle Data we have Aidis, Stukas, and Inga Pliavgo, who's actually organizers of PyCon Lithuania, and this is actually the topic we're going to discuss today. So I guess short introduction would be in order, right, for the listeners to actually know a bit of you, right, and from there we can kick it off. You know how you met and how you thought of this idea actually to bring PyCon to Lithuania. Who wants to start?
Aida, do you want?
Yeah, I can. So, hello everyone. Aidis. I don't know, just brief introduction. I'm from Kaunas. I'm almost 40 years old. IT was not first of my things I did in my life. I joined it when I was 30 years old, and actually I was looking for like how to get involved with the IT community, and then I found PyCon Lithuania conference, and I don't know, maybe we can tell more details about it later.
So comment on your Aidis introduction. So you have changed your profession before it was cool, before those coding academies, yeah?
We might say so. I never heard about them at that time. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so okay. So, yeah. Hi, I'm Inga, and I'm Python developer. And with a hobby organizing things, events. So that's how I'm here. And I'm with team with Aidis for 5 years now, I guess. Yeah, it's like, pretty
Nice.
committed relationship.
Nice. So, as I understand, Aidis was looking the way, like the gateway, to the community, right? And he found it. And how, Inga, you found it? Via Aidis or via some other, common acquaintance?
So Aidis at that time had like not small team, 5 persons, 4, something for us. 2 now, 4 people is a big team, seems like. And he posted a forum who wants to join, and it was like a big step for me because I wanted to organize more bigger events, not just in my company. And yeah, I was very nervous. So, but Aidis accepted me, and I was impressed that first my task was go to Poland and attend PyData with all the team. It was fun, team building style, and yeah, and shocking at the same time. It's like things going so fast.
It's like a small startup, right? Where you wear multiple hats, do multiple things, and get things rolling, as it's needed. Nice. Oh, interesting. And like just because of the Poland part, actually, how big of a community there, or like how big of the event? But it's not even upheld now.
We were at that event in Poland in 2018. It's
okay.
a long time ago, and I guess how many people?
Maybe
don't
like
remember.
400 or 500 at the time. It was like PyData Warsaw.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
nice.
if you ask about like size of the community, what's interesting about Poland that we organize PyCon Lithuania, and the big part of PyCon Lithuania is of course data, PyData events, and then but we have one event that has all kinds of things covered. But in Poland, you have PyData Warsaw, you have local PyCons, you have like competing PyCon conferences, so it's much more scattered, and there's no like one Python place to go and then see all the things.
Okay, interesting. But I guess that makes sense, having way larger population, compared to Lithuania. So yeah, you organized, I think this year's is gonna be 14th, if I'm not mistaken, PyCon, right?
I think it's 13th.
13th?
Yeah, I just opened just for preparation for the podcast. I have some talks and yeah, the first one, if anyone's interested, was in 2009, organized by Jurgis Pralgauskis in Kaunas gymnasium, KTU gymnasium. And after that, there was 3 years gap, and then every year except for COVID, we had events. So.
Ah, nice. And that's why it threw me off. Why I thought it's 14th, because 13th number is 2023 TBD, and the 12th one is 2023. So that's why I thought like, oh, 23 plus 1. Nice. Okay, but in general, right? I guess organizing meetups, right? That's also partially what you're also involved in, right? In the Python community in general. Like conference is a big change. So I think in general, let's talk about the challenges maybe, and actually like maybe how the process looks, how just for people to understand actually how much work is there, before they all participate, what they see and so on. So from what does it start? The whole organizing of the event.
From picking up a date, and you pick up a date depending on the availability of Keynote.
So not Keynote first then?
Well, it's like we have several dates on mind, and then we suggest for Keynote, and then he picks. Yeah.
Okay.
And, a lot of those who start organizing events start to think about all different small details that are not as important, and as Inga mentioned, like the date, the keynotes, and to choose them, you would also need to know the other big events that are happening around. Especially when we target big names, like we always try to have some well-known names in our lineup. You would not like to interfere with PyCon US or something. We target people who are making keynotes in PyCon US, and to get them, you don't want to compete with that size of conferences. But yeah, these are the first things.
Okay. So talking about this year's and like the keynotes, right? Since we already started talking, I think it's gonna have Richie Wing, who's a creator of Colors, and Daniel Roy Greenfield.
Yes, exactly.
Nice. So, for Richie, I met him last year. Like, it was super nice to talk to him. How actually you chose, like, if to approach Richie or if to talk with Daniel, by what are you actually, targeting the people for keynote?
Yeah, first of all, well, they have to be known. Their projects have to be known. Their name has to ring a bell. Either their name or their project has to mean significant thing for the community, or I don't know, maybe someone who is making hundreds of thousands of watches on YouTube, like so. And it's not only like popularity chasing, because we also try to find some smaller upcoming projects that are still trying to find their niche, make their name. But for a keynote, you have to, I don't know, your project has to be significant, has to have a significant amount of GitHub stars, forks, whatever, downloads. You have to be well followed on Twitter or X. Your videos has to be watched. Well, to be a keynote, you have to do some significant things. Yeah. And Polars, of course, is on the rise. Like we feel like, this is not the most widely used project right now. It might become one, we don't know, but its traction is big enough for us to try to get him as a keynote. And for Daniel, this is, of course, your listeners are more data people, but maybe someone did some, or at least heard of Django. He has, like, I guess, maybe the most popular Django book out there, Two Scoops of Django. A lot of people grew up doing web development in Python world reading his book. So yeah, I didn't mention that. Write a well-known book.
That makes sense, because when we talked with Inga at one meetup and she was like super excited, we're trying to get Daniel, I'm like, I'm not aware, and that's the reason why, right? On different end. So these two keynotes are actually, looks like, from completely different parts, right? One is more like data oriented, right? Data frames. Another one is like Django, which is web development, right?
Yeah.
Can we talk about the switched format in a way of 2024?
Of course.
Yes.
Inga?
Yeah, I can shortly tell. So this next event is gonna be a 3 days talks event. So first day would be for web Python, so like Django, Flask, web scraping topics, and etc. Second date will be for Python, like whatever you want to be talked about it. And by date, of course, it's one of the biggest and hottest days, I guess. The most attendees will be that day. And just why we decided to do this format after collecting some feedback from this year's spring event, just a lot of people would say that there are a lot of PyData topics and less with simple Python and web Python. So we just didn't want people to be disappointed. So we just want inclusion to grow community, not just become a PyData event. Just want to be inclusive. Yeah.
Nice. I guess, yes, I did.
It's something that we would still encourage everyone who is at least a bit interested into, venturing and seeing other parts of Python, so we will make sure that you would pay little extra to get into other parts of the event, so if there's at least any interest, we'll make sure that you will not suffer because of that interest, and then you will be able to attend with minimal expenses to the other parts of the events.
Nice. But that sounds really, really cool, splitting up things. And I guess, some of the data folks will for sure go to the web part because, Flask, Fast API, those things are part of how you serve your machine learning models or, like create your data apps for other people to use.
Yeah. And one more thing, we were thinking about the actual layout of the 3 days. So the Python part is the most abstract, the most generic one. It's for a reason the middle one, because we will talk about domain agnostic things. We will talk about how to write nice code, for example. So these are things that are important for whatever code that you write, and as you said, even some people in data would be still interested in visiting some web talks for whatever deployment or building web APIs or I don't know, whatever other part.
Yeah. Though I guess the contest, for getting your talk is also going to be a bit more easier, right? Because, it will not happen like it will be more condensed on the relevant topics, right? And actually for people to decide to which talk to go to listen actually is going to be interesting also.
On that, we tried, when we had 2-day conference, we tried to have a lot of talks, a lot of talks, a lot of content. And that's one of the difference, I would say, from other smaller Python conferences, because some of them, I don't know, for example, PyCon Estonia, they would just say, oh, there's one track, we will run with it. And of course, they have a good, there's some good in that, because you can focus on really good talks. So now when we spread into 3 days, we will not try to have as many talks. We will try to make sure maybe have smaller amount of talks in a day, but really have selected ones and really high quality ones. So we'll try to not increase the quantity, but like focus on quantity this year a bit more.
Nice. So that's amazing. I'm talking about, the process, right? For me, it's always interesting, to understand how different conferences actually are choosing, which talks to accept, or who goes on waiting list and whatnot. And when you're filling a form, it seems like you can put very, very limited amount of information, right? When in this case, right, PyCon Lithuania is going to be in 2024 April from 2nd to 6th.
Yeah.
And submissions are till January, right? So there's like a month and a half to submit, and you have to carefully think through about things, right? So for folks who are thinking, how to put your proposal for the talk, right? What they should address and what should they focus actually for their talk to get accepted?
Yeah, I can answer that. Well, every time on every year we try to think and we talk about like should we what topics should we address, should we address during the conference. There will always be things like, hey, these are the trends in Python world, let's say, or in data world. There's always also, hey, these are the things that our participants expect, or sometimes our sponsor partnership companies expect, because they also work with some tooling, some frameworks, or in some domain. But it's not easy for us to communicate that to the participants of the CFP. But even this and the last year on CFP page, we tried to say these are the topics that we are looking talks for. These are our priority topics, and you, if you target them, you will have more focus. But however, that doesn't mean that these are the only ones, the topics that we are focusing on. We always also look evaluate better those people who are actually presenting the stuff that they did. For example, you don't have to have a super popular project, but if you are someone who's like contributing to open source, maintaining a project, maybe it has, I don't know, like 30 stars, 50 stars. There's some very niche thing, but it's, you're doing actual things. It's not only like you're making another tutorial to a framework that you can find 200 of them like after first search. No, so you're contributing something original, something unique. That's awesome. We will we encourage these. And of course, always you have to pitch your idea. You have to write it a lot. Also, on this, last year we had the question: did you use Chat GPT to generate your proposal? So I think I did not catch like hard statistics on that, but from what I saw, more than half of people were already using it. And we encourage, if ChatGPT helps you to write a better proposal and you work with it, or any other language model, with the help of AI, let's say you can bring a good proposal, your chances are better. But if you're sloppy, if you're making mistakes, if you just sit down one evening and took like 2 minutes to write proposal, we'll see that, and say sorry. And yeah, in the previous years, I have to say, at least last year, we had 3 talks into one slot. That was the competition. Previously, we had to chase people and ask them to attend the CFP, but now we have like more competition, and that means that those who are sloppy, they will not go through. Yeah.
But I guess it actually makes sense, right? If you create a catchy thing, right? Even like you mentioned, ChatGPT helps you. Whatever, if you can deliver your talk actually, and you can commit to that, like why not? right? Because it's super hard for everyone to understand, what your talk gonna be about, what's gonna be the level, just, from like abstract and a short kind of description, right? So that makes sense. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So, and one detail for those who are actually thinking or preparing to submit a talk, there's one very, very particular tip I would have to give. So in the CFP porn, there's this thing, it's called notes. So notes are the things that the guests of the websites don't see it, but organizers see. So as one who's submitting the proposal, you can send extra information material that would convince people that you actually know what you're talking about, and things. What actually helps is an outline of your talk. If you have slides or a structure of your talk, let's say you have to talk for 25 minutes, maybe you'll have 20 slides. Tell us about every slide that you have. What's the flow, so we understand how you tell the story, and that helps a lot.
Okay. Didn't thought about the notes part, actually. That's where the human touch actually, shines, and we can see, if it's, just generated text, or if it's like quickly bashed and so on. So
yeah, you can offer like, we'll buy you a drink or something if you get your offer accepted or something. Not just joking.
But since you mentioned, commit, like committing or contributing to open source, right? So that's also one of the days actually what's happening on the PyCon, right? It's the sprints day.
Yes, Saturday, the last day of the entire event.
How did that idea actually, appear to create something, for people to contribute and, just in general to understand open source and its community? Because last year I really liked actually Mark Garcia's, talk, actually, where he did, if you want to put the contribute, to, like some open source, library, you should do this with some examples. And it actually didn't seem that daunting to, to actually contribute. I'm like, oh, it's not that hard. You just have to think of some things. So how did the idea materialized of adding sprints, to be part of PyCon?
So it's quite easy. Like you travel to other conferences, you see what they do, and like I saw people who are, meet in one place and have some experience working together, not only talking or listening, but actually working on some small stuff. That's awesome, and that was a little dream that we tried to implement for a few years already, but it was always problematic to find people who can actually lead the sprints. But last year we were happy. We are lucky to have, I think, 3 people: Mark Garcia for Pandas, and Manta Zimnitskas from OpenGov Data, author of Spinta project, and I think there was some other one. And we actually had a sprint of 15 people. So that was the first time we actually got something going, and we hope that this will grow, and we will not only attend the conferences just to listen to people and do some chat or networking, but actually sit down with someone and make a merge request or two.
But that merge request has to be also, not only reviewed but also merged, like a final product, right?
That's not necessary, at least. It can be rejected, it's still, you still contributed,
But it seems that this part actually, excited you a lot, right? So what for you personally, for each of you, right, was the most exciting actually moments? What drives you to push, each year, to go through the same challenges and same, things over and over? What drives you?
Well, I can start. Well, for me personally, it's just the feedback we receive. Everyone is very happy and grateful, and also there are people who travels to other conferences and can make comparison. So they just say, yeah, you have that quality. So that's keep driving us. Yeah, that's for me, I guess.
As Inga says, like big part also for me is people just saying thanks during your after event. You know, it's very very heartwarming when someone says, "Hey, I've been visiting PyCon Lithuania since whatever, you know, since whatever time, and you're improving, and it's the event I will never miss," and things like that, you know. So even though at that time you're very tired after the last month and a week of organizing the event, but this encourages a lot. And second thing, you know, if we would not be doing this, that means we would not have event I can drive in 1 hour too, you know. That means I would need to travel somewhere. And also for me, who's taking care of the CFP part, I can have the talks, the lineup I want, you know. I organize conference I would like to visit myself, you know. So you cannot have that other conferences. You get what you're served, but here we have a chance to have local conference with the lineup that we want, you know.
Actually, that's one thing I really liked, you know, about PyCon Lithuania, like compared, you know, to the other conferences I've been to, is actually that, you know, there are no so-called sponsored, you know, spots where some people just kind of buys their way in, I assume, because, you know, their quality of their content is, you know, very vague, very abstract, and it's like not delivering value. But compared to the PyCon, I guess it's company agnostic and not, you know, going through those, what gives the most value for the community, actually. Right?
Well, I guess Inga can tell more on that. She's responsible. We never said that, but Inga is the one who's dealing with all the sponsorship and partnership things. So
so let's talk then about this. The interesting part for the companies who's actually listening and thinking how to, you know, be involved in the PyCon.
So every company is welcome, obviously, and comparing our conference to others, the most of like tech companies, conferences, I'm sorry, we are just community conference, which is interested in growing community and not making money of it. And that's why our sponsorship packages are very cheap comparing to others. And we just don't want to make an impression that if company only looking for recruiting, then they can participate and partner with us. No, just buy a smallest package we have. Get a discount for tickets for your employees, and that's how you contribute to the community. Because Python is open source, and it's not like have licenses or something. You're using free product and making money of this. So just and why you're using this free product? Because it has a big community. So let's support it.
And it's free.
Yeah, it's free.
Okay. Like for me, it's like I'm gonna give a question, right? So like since, you know, I'm from like my social bubble of people, you know, are usually, you know, Python data people, right? And my question is, you know, so how many actually companies you actually like, apart from those, you know, who comes, you know, as sponsors, right? Like how many of Python tech companies are here in Lithuania, let's say?
There are who concentrates only on Python. There are few. Mostly it's consulting or multi-projects companies which have a lot of tech, a big tech stack. So, but we have our favorites, like those who have major language Python. So you can see those in our event every year.
Ah, nice. So spoilers, no free ads, you know, for the companies. Yeah. Become a sponsor at PyCon, you know, and then we can, you know, plug it in afterwards.
Exactly.
but like what caught my attention, right? Yes.
Sorry, Ken,
Yes.
I would like to shout out one past sponsor. Also,
That's a story. Yeah.
So that sponsor was a former colleague of Inga. He is also I guess the person with the talks talks in PyCon Lithuania history, and he used to be our sponsor. So the person, Petras Danavičius, thank you, Petras, for everything. So now we are very self-sufficient as an organization, as an event, but there were times where we were living only out of sponsor money. The event was free totally, and we always tried to make it better one, and of course to make better event you have to have money. It's not like you can have everything for free. So Petras Stanavičius, again, he became our sponsor by buying one of the packages. So we were thinking whether we should add his photo into our website among the logos of our real sponsors. So, and that makes you think, when different companies, think whether we should support. And these companies are making a lot of money. It's IT world, So thank you for the persons like Petras who are just saying whatever, like everyone's hesitating to sponsor this event. I'll just send them money and we'll keep it going. So that was awesome. Thank you, Petras, once more.
He was and is believer of our community.
Nice. That's super nice to hear. Actually, that it's also some individuals contributing to the growth of the community. But what stood out to me, is like that you mentioned, a couple of months, like organization and whatnot. How long does the process actually takes, right? Because like I mentioned, CFP started now. We see the website already, having updated things. Right, it's already like inviting people to pull CFPs. Then you have CFP reviews. Then all the organizing with the event, like venue and so on. How long does it take actually to create such an event?
Usually, it takes at least 8-9 months. But this year, we decided to make well, we just spontaneously decided on the date because of one of the keynotes, and it's in April, and we decided this on October, in the beginning of the October, so it's like half-year sprint for us this time. But we have experience. We have a lot of things, infrastructure automated, and we're still trying to introduce new features and new topics, new whatever activities in our conference during this short time. And if this conference will satisfy you, then I will say half a year is enough.
Yeah, we'll have to say that this is not our full-time job. This is I would say throughout the year it takes 10% of my working time, but that means usually close to, I don't know, I often used to take at least 1 week vacation, sometimes 2 weeks of vacation before the actual event. So 2 weeks before the event is a full-time, often, especially when we had a bit less experience. But if we consider like spread out throughout the year, and of course intensity increases as the event is coming closer, and as Inga said, we try to spread it out more so we don't have like personal. I do not encourage this, but I used to do this way when I was not able to take vacation before. So how it happened, I buy some energy drinks, yes. And before my day job, I drink energy drink, work some things. During my lunchtime, I work some things. And after my work, I drink some energy drink and do some extra things. So if you do not have extra time, it hurts. And we try to, make sure that we don't have this thing when we have to deal with every single thing at the last week or so. But this happens,
This is life.
Yeah.
So then the question, right, since it takes a lot of time, right, how, like, if someone else, right, would want to, help out, or like contribute, to PyCon in general, right, in Lithuania, how should they reach you, approach you, is there a process, or it's, as it happens on an ad hoc basis, right? How does that work?
So the latest posting of the form of volunteer, as we're also here volunteers with Aidis, was a newsletter which came up this week, last week, kind of.
Yeah.
But if you want, you can contact us anytime on LinkedIn. On the website there are emails. Just write out email and we will talk to you.
Info at PyCon LT.
Yes.
Or yeah, there are multiple ways of contact us.
Yeah, Facebook.
Nice. Then question, since I'm, of course, you mentioned newsletter, I'm like, first time I'm hearing about this, where can I find it? Because I'm browsing now PyCon LT, right? And I don't think I can find it that easily.
We could use some help with the user experience, I guess, the website. But yeah, it's in 2004, one of the links, join newsletter. I think we should make it more visible, I guess.
Okay.
Well, Facebook, LinkedIn then.
Okay, good. So I'll try through there. So that's good. Okay, I'll add it, of course, to the footnote or the end description as well of this podcast, so it would be straight path, for others looking at it. So that's super nice. I'm thinking of one other thing, which I think at the start flew out of my mind, is the poster session.
Yeah.
Is it something new?
Yeah, it's new, and again, like while we visit other conferences, we see lots of different stuff happening. And well, before IT, I used to think about pursuing research career, And for me, it's a little bit of nostalgia when I go to the other conferences and I see some research being presented as a poster session, people printing their big things, and talking about the stuff that they do. So it always felt nostalgic to me. And this year, as we contacted with Tomas Krilavičius from Vytautas Magnus University Information Faculty, if that's the right name, and he said that they would help us with scientific part. They would help us to distribute the call with a scientific community. And when we get this kind of help, and it's not everything that we have to do by our own, and say, hey, let's do this. So we would expect, we hope for, I don't know, at least maybe 6 people, having their slots to tell you about like what wonderful research and science they do while using Python. I don't know, maybe discovering new galaxies or whatever. Like, I don't know, building some genome stuff. Like, who knows?
But that's the interesting part, I think. Like where the majority of like breakthroughs are actually, like findings of how to, like improve some system, or like how to do something, in a more interesting way, right? Actually, that happens in the research, right? With the black hole picture, right? I think they also did some magic mumbo jumbo there to actually make it work, and now I think it's used even more. So I think that's also a great way to introduce the scientific community.
I remember like 4 or 5 years ago, there was some discovery of extraterrestrial planet, and basically this was like a image of, I don't know, 10 by 10 pixels and varying shades of gray, and someone write a Python script that, based on the changes of the shades of gray, distinguish that there should be some planet orbiting, so that's the stories we're looking for.
Oh, damn, that's interesting. Okay. Now I'm drifting away with my mind. What other interesting approaches there are, from scientific area. But since, like I mentioned, we're here to talk more about PyCon, right? So I'm thinking actually, since you mentioned you're visiting a lot of different conferences, right? How do you choose to which other conferences to go, right? Because actually, like from there you pick up new ideas. You think, that might work, at PyCon, that might not. How do you choose other conferences, and what are you looking for in them that you can transfer that learning to the PyCon Lithuania?
So I can start. I just add up if you think of something. So yeah, firstly we just see how many participants there will be, and keynote speakers, and also reviews from other speakers who are visiting our conference. Like they say, PyCon Italy is fun. So I think we will be visiting them next year to see what's that about. And yeah, for me, I participated first time EuroPython like last year, 2022, and I really liked it. And I said for myself that it's a must-go conference for me each year, because they're not always the same. They are changing and they're introducing new activities. Also, they have a big pool of contacts and speakers, so we can use it. And yeah, I guess that's from my side. Yeah.
What flew under the radar is that we not only go to other conferences to see like what activities they do. One of big part of that is actually get in touch with potential speakers. Like it's of course possible to get connected without that. It's internet world, but when you meet people and say hello face to face like this is a different contact, and this is important for us. And also, of course, we try to visit big events because you'll find more, but we also try to visit events of our size that we can transfer from in like they're more similar to us. And as we cover different parts of different domains, not only data, other aspects of Python, we try to visit different kinds of events, and of course recommendations help. If we ask someone, hey, what do you think about this event, say, I would never go back to it. We will not go it, but there's definitely ones that people recommend, and we try to wander around. Yeah.
So okay, from you mentioned a lot, right? The criteria and whatnot. So in your situation, what conferences would you suggest listeners to also go? PyCon Lithuania is a must, and everyone has to attend, and to meet with other people. That's that's a fact. But other ones, like what you recommend from out of your experience, which you acquired through this time.
Data related, I guess. Yeah.
No. Don't limit yourself. Come on, a lot of things transfer, right? Like we just talked, right? How fast API, those, from the web development, right? Transfers there. You mentioned Python being an abstract thing, right? Where you can teach or learn, new practices or like the ways of writing code and whatnot. That also transferring. Not limited to data, please.
So I'll give my 3 recommendations. Let's say I'll start with the Python one. So when we talk about Python community conferences, the community conference, in the sense like least corporate, most organized by people only, and I don't know, it's almost a mess, but in a good way, you know. So it's PyCon UK, and it is happening in Cardiff, in Wales, and it's Cardiff. It's very similar. Oh, this is a different thing. It's a bit bigger than Kaunas, I guess a bit smaller than Vilnius, so it's very local size. It's not taking place in London or whatever, but it's very local, very community vibe, very, I don't know, special event, I would say. Yeah, and I know maybe Inga, you go with one.
Yeah, well, EuroPython. Yeah, it's like also community, and there are a lot of people you can meet, companies also, and every time it takes another place, so you can travel Europe.
Nice. Okay, so that's two, right? You said
Yeah,
three. You said three.
Yeah, I could drop some names again. I think I never been to PyData Berlin that I've heard, but Python again in UK, PyData London is great. That PyData London is actually the first PyData event in Europe. That's where it all started. Now we have in Europe, I know, dozen, maybe 100 different events happening. So that's the one where the main PyData event in Europe, I would say. And if you're looking for something close by, I don't know, PyData Warsaw was good a few years ago. Not sure if they are still organizing this. Yeah, but it was good.
Okay, nice.
And close by. So
that's sure. I think you can get now by train from Vilnius, right? So it shouldn't be long drive, but it is what it is. But like now, to tie everything together, right? How to get the best out of your experience in any conference, right? From your side, you mentioned you were choosing not only talks, what to take out of it, but also networking parts, right? What people should actually look, or how should they focus or create their own experience at these conferences, right? Because it's not like you mentioned only listen to the presentations, right?
I'll just give a very, very short intro. Maybe Inga, you can follow up. Like the first mistake is never go to the events for the talks. The talks, I will tell you a secret for those who are still in the podcast, are a bait. The main dish of the conferences is the people that you meet, the new people, or maybe your old colleagues. That's the whole thing. The talks are for a bait. We try to bait you into a community. So that's the main thing. You can always find better talks on YouTube. 95% chance, 99% chance. If you look for YouTube, you'll find better content, but you'll never find a place nearby you can meet all the people and network in one place. So that's the main thing.
Yeah, totally agree with Aidis. When you come to a conference, you have to be open-minded, friendly, don't hesitate to turn down people coming to you to ask how you're doing, what you're doing, where you use Python. And comparing other conferences in Europe related with Python and ours, on our side, it's unfortunate that our social event is not so big and effective as in other conferences because, for example, in Czech Republic, we had a great time on a social event and talked to a lot of people from Czech Republic, from Germany, from Poland, from UK. It's like, when you open up to stranger, it feels so fine, and he opens up to you, and it's very quality talk we got there. So yeah, and if any of your listeners have any ideas how we could improve our social events to make it more attractive, so please write us in LinkedIn or Facebook.
we have a global plan, like big idea that there will be 3, maybe 4 different social events, like dinner, I don't know, reception, party. That depends on how much sponsorship we'll receive, So that's an idea for any companies or representatives of the companies, Yeah, we like to have both good content and good parties, Maybe for those who are not feeling too well, interacting with strangers during the coffee break, we'll try to loosen you up with multiple social events.
That's nice. Like, and yeah, I think, like you mentioned, right, the community in general, right? That's the most important thing, right? So
Yeah.
we should all focus on actually, building a better community for tomorrow, which should in the end, be a place for people to share, and to actually, push things through. So that seems like a very nice idea and the whole plan in general. So I know maybe closing remarks, you have something to share more, like, some tips to give to the listeners.
Maybe not a tip, but in general, we always welcome ideas of what we can improve. We always are looking for content talks. Like we appreciate you, Thomas, for having the idea of having like interviews during the conference. That's awesome. I think if there's anyone else with some ideas what we can do extra and to make our conference like more exciting, more interesting, that we always welcome you. Just let us know, and we'll try to implement that. Maybe you can also be part of that too.
So so the thing is with that, I just send them an email, right? And oh, that sounds nice. Let's talk on details how to approach it, and like one call or like and a couple of emails later, yeah, okay, let's do it. Here's who's coming. So let's arrange these things. I'm like, damn, that was fast and efficient. So yeah, if you have any ideas, so feel free to reach out. Was very smooth last year, and let's see what's coming this year. So thank you both. It was actually interesting to know more what's happening under the hood in actually organizing the conference. And for the listeners, so see you at PyCon 2024 in Vilnius, which is going to be on April from 2nd to 6th.
Yes.
So see you guys there. And thank you both for joining me on this podcast episode.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Thomas.